Welcome back to another part of this F1 25 My Team Career Mode. This is part number 26 today for Zandvoort in reverse. For the very first time, we do the Dutch Grand Prix on F1 25, but it's the other way round. But last time out, it was a great day in the office for the Dutchman's teammate, Oscar Piastri, back to winning ways after we suffered some tyre heating issues, and it was another limping across the line for a handful of points, if that, as we are in this period where we're having to dig deep for every single point. But Williams are, taking a march above us in the constructors, and we're really counting on upgrades maybe late in this season to help us out, fight back against them. But right now, we're actually looking even further ahead to later in this season. We're looking to next season as we are in end game talks with Ollie Bearman. That's the third and final talks with a driver, and now we have got the reduced a contract offer here with the performance clause that's been removed, the salary request has been reduced, and the chance of signing has been increased. To be honest, I kind of was expecting the chance to be pretty high anyway, considering Ollie Bearman has been a free agent somehow for this entire second season.
Big day. The team feel we now have enough info following our talks with possible drivers that we can now start negotiating contracts. Drivers who we've had at least an early meeting with may now be receptive to discussing a contract. Time to get things ready for next season.
And it's good timing of Bearman's last talks happening, because now the contract window is open. So it's a big episode. Not only are we doing Zandvoort in reverse, but for the first time, we can now send some contract offers. And as I did last season, you guys enjoyed me keeping an air of secrecy about who we're actually going to be signing for next season, but we are going to clue you in to the initial thinking here. And as I've said from the get-go, literally from episode 1 of this second season, I saw Bearman as a free agent, as a massive ding, 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 big gimme, having a British driver, that's decently rated as a free agent. It just seems like an open goal that we have to go for him, because no one else is going to sign him. Well, if we don't go for him, then someone surely else will go for him, because he is a decent driver that has a good future in the series, will probably grow quite well in the same way as Antonelli, but Antonelli is already signed to a team, whereas Bearman is a given, like a really high priority and high chance for us to go for, so we are going to go ahead and send an offer to Ollie Bearman. We're not going to go with any of the other counter offers. We're just going to go with the original offer that has been presented to us that will be the highest likelihood to sign him.
Okay, sent. Now we wait. Hopefully we'll hear back soon, but these things do tend to drag on. Let's keep our fingers crossed and just focus on what we can control. I'll let you know if I hear anything.
And as Andrew says, with that done, now we can go back to focusing on the car and the HQ facilities, because we can have all the best drivers in the world, but it won't matter if our car, if we can't get upgrades on the car. And thankfully, we have now got to phase 3. You can tell by the vista, it's now a new shiny engineering department. The zoom out confirms it. Phase 3 engineering. Finally, we can purchase the breakthrough upgrades for any of the departments on the actual car performance and unlock those new updates on R&D that we then have to go purchase, which is why we've been saving a lot of R&D for those, what I assume will be quite expensive next set of upgrades. And then after that, I don't know, I'm really hoping by the time we could maybe potentially get to phase 4 that they've maybe fixed the issue with a lack of phase 4 upgrades not being present in the game as it stands. Like there's some weird sort of glitch there where it just doesn't really actually matter that much about having phase 4. So we'll cross that bridge once we get to it. Elsewhere around this team, we're going and sort of drilling down into the personnel upgrades with driver evolution. We're now going for the 3 out of 3 on pace upgrade, 2 out of 3 on awareness, and ideally actually I want to try and max that out, basically get it 3 out of 3 on everything, so that this team is growing its drivers at the fastest rate possible. And there we have it then, engineering. We've gone straight in with the chassis and aero breakthrough, so those will take 29 and 25 days respectively. So it might be could even be 2 episodes time before we can actually even buy those R&D upgrades. So it's not, it's definitely celebration right now, but we're still not even at that point where we can make those upgrades. We've still got to wait, and I was once again so tempted by the tire upgrade because we've got a decent discount on it as well, but I'm going to refrain from it. I think the better play, the better long-term play is saving R&D for the breakthrough upgrades. But with the contract window open, it seemed like my plans were pretty, straight in my mind of who we were going for. But with the window open, you never know who's going to get in touch with you.
Okay, boss. Got an interesting bit of news for you. We've had a driver reach out to us to ask if we'd be interested in a preliminary chat with him about possibilities for next season. You can always say no if you're not interested, or we can see where it goes. Your call.
I cannot believe this. Pierre Gasly has shown an interest in joining our team. He won 2 races at the end of Season 1, was the driver in fine form, but Alpine have been in the mud this season. Nowhere near how high they climbed at the end of Season 1. But those OG viewers of you who've been watching my channel for a while, you know why this is so funny to see Gasly approaching us. Because of course, there had to be at least one moment in the series where maybe Pierre Gasly could come back into our lives of Aarava Archer GP. Could maybe be, well, not my teammate, but one of my drivers in the team. All roads lead to Pierre Gasly. There is just a long, deep-rooted history of me and Pierre in the F1 games, and it's not really been a great history in terms of there's been some major rivalries in the past. But yeah, we have the meeting with Gasly because he approached us. It's only fitting that we accept it, and we took on what he had to say and what his offers were or expectations were. Pretty high in terms of fan rating 7 and vehicle performance 4. I think the only thing we can actually do is the engineering workforce, ironically, and the salary is pretty large at the moment. 24 million, could be reduced with further talks, but it's quite a lot. But at the same time, I would be a hypocrite to say that's too much to spend on a driver, because we've also had JB on a high contract as well. So Pierre's a very highly rated driver. He's wasting away a little bit at Alpine. Should we reunite the band, get the band back together, and actually get involved with Pierre Gasly? I don't know. I'm going to leave you wondering with this one, because I don't even know which way we should go. And if it wasn't close enough already in R&D terms, well, it's getting even closer. But welcome back, McLaren. They are now right up there. They're the 3rd best team on paper, and they're right there on paper with Mercedes and Red Bull, basically. Very closely followed by Ferrari, Williams, Aston Martin. The gap is still there then to us, and actually Alpine and Haas are closer to us, it looks like, than we are to all those top 6 teams. So this is a bit of a difficult part of the season where it's frustrating to watch and sit back and just be able to do nothing about it, basically. But soon come those breakthrough upgrades. But at the moment, you can see the dash line. There's that clear difference of the top 6 teams to us, and then you've got the teams behind us. But we just got to keep faith that the upgrades coming with the breakthrough are going to get us up there. And definitely for Season 3, that bodes pretty well. Like, obviously, there might be an R&D reset, but we could have a titanically close Season 3 coming up as we now go into this race weekend, though. Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix, but in reverse. Our 2nd reverse track of the season. And I said, at the start of the season, if we're going to bring Zandvoort in, I wanted to do it in reverse, because going the other way sometimes can be a bit of a dull affair and not the most fun Grand Prix ever. I think in reverse, this roller coaster circuit's going to be even crazier. But we unfortunately have to make a tough decision here and take a set of engine penalties with Tim Tramnitz because the ICE is getting so worn, but we've also got a problem in other departments of the engine where I just felt if we're taking a couple of penalties, then we may as well take a bunch of them and then just start at the back of the grid, basically. So we're going to have a bit of a fight on our hands this weekend.
Just look at that sea of orange. No surprises if I tell you we're here in Holland at Zandvoort for the Max Verstappen celebration party. It's a quick track and perfect for high speeds, high stakes qualifying. Welcome along to the Dutch Grand Prix qualifying day.
It's a pretty tough race weekend to be going towards the back of the grid, but at the same time, because it's reverse, maybe there's a bit of chaos to come, and maybe this is actually one of the better places to maybe start at the back. It could go either way, really, but as we start Q1, the 50-place grid penalty is confirmed. We're actually starting from a different country. We're starting from the country next to the Netherlands. It's not actually going to be here in Zandvoort. Actually, that's all the penalty, as we're going to take you now on a full lap around reverse Zandvoort, because like in Austria, it is just a sight to behold driving the reverse tracks for the first time in the My Team series with our own car, as we now go into the banking, which is turn 1, and what a turn 1 it is, and a bit of an awkward left-hander as there's no exit kind of curbing on the right. It's just pure grass, so that's going to definitely be a potential issue come race day. That left-hander is so tricky, and I can already tell from this first flying lap, Zandvoort in reverse, maybe even less grip than it is the other way around. So this is going to be a very tricky race in terms of keeping that momentum up. Every corner flows into the other, and tyre wear is maybe going to be a major factor, I'm already going to guess. But this section, very fun. Flat out pretty much the entire time. We didn't take that corner as well as we could have. We are going to in a later lap in this Q1 session, but yeah, pretty much flat out through that entire section. Then you've got the second banking of the track. This one has become a bit more awkward than it is the right way around. The left-hander just asking you to get the throttle on and get a tank slapper on, and then through the final corner, a bit of an awkward tight affair into the entry, and then opens up and then running to the line the wrong way round, but the right way round for this layout, and crossing the line 3.3 seconds slower than the Ferrari. It's safe to say there was some time to find and some confidence to find around this unique, different layout, and we are going to find that, you know, already 1.5 seconds found in in only a couple of corners, basically. Sector 1, Sector 2 taking this section now a lot better, still could go a lot tighter on the left-hand side to gain a bit more time, but it's going to be 2.4, 2.5 gain, so it might be nearly that 3 seconds that we were lacking to the Ferrari gained by the end of the lap as the rear end squirrels away. But as we plant the power into the final corner, 3.1, 3.2 maybe on the exit. No, we lose a little bit on the exit with the lack of traction there, so it'll be 3.2 on the line though, and it gets up to P15, but it won't matter. It won't matter because we've got the 50-place penalty. Liam Lawson looking very racy, surprisingly leading the session in the Aston Honda. Ferrari, Williams, Red Bull, McLaren, Merc, all mixed up there. It is a very tightly fought, close affair. And, well, we're out in Q1. Doesn't really matter. I didn't really push, a lot harder for more laps because I knew we were going out. Button, though, only P14, so I have a little bit of a worry that the car itself won't be that quick, at least over one lap. I don't know, maybe in the race it might be better, it might be even worse based off the last 2 races. Let's see. I think it's going to matter where Button ends up qualifying as an AI driver here, whilst we're not in the same session, because that might be quite telling of where our car really lies around this track versus the others. As I've said many times, I'm going to be like a broken record. Soon come the breakthrough upgrades. We really, really need them.
For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside in races across Europe. Here this weekend, it's even easier to find the Dutch fans as they have a race to call their own once again. A warm welcome to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe, of course, as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda and Albon, Sainz, Norris, Lawson and Jenson Button, Hamilton, Stroll, Esteban Ocon and Gasly, Aaron, Colapinto, Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Nico Hulkenberg, Hadja, Bortoletto, Doohan and Tim Tramnitz rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me in the commentary box today, former racing driver herself, Naomi Schiff. Mystery, intrigue and skullduggery behind the scenes. I think that's what's going on with our 11th team here, because they don't seem overly happy with the driver lineup they've got.
Yeah, and what a wonderful place for them to be at so early in their experience in Formula One. Nobody would have expected it, but truthfully, drivers have their own metrics that they look for when considering a team, whether that be consistency, potential, or even just seeing their growth over this short period of time. To be honest, I think they've ticked quite a few boxes.
So it is the very back of the grid then for this Dutch Grand Prix in reverse. Doohan alongside us in the Alpine, also not having a great qualifying. His teammates approaching us for talks earlier in the episode, but all focus is just on this race, not the future of this team. But what the future of this race will be, I'm not too sure. We've got Doohan on softs, a couple of others on softs ahead. But a lot of cars here at the back choosing to go mediums, maybe to go longer to get track position as we deploy the Sonny Hayes tactic of waiting a little bit. We're at the back of the grid. We may as well let the entire grid wait as we warm up our tyres as much as we can. Their tyres get colder as we inch forward slowly but surely to then start this race as the lights go to 5 as soon as we slot in. It's a front row lockout for Red Bull, the Dutchman on pole position for his home race as it's lights out and we're underway, and it is a cracking start as we make 3 overtakes to get up into P19 from 22. The strategies work, the tyres are warm. Oh no, maybe not warm enough as we go a little bit wayward. That corner has immediately caught us out on lap 1. The 2 Audis tried to re-overtake us, but we've managed to slot back through and stay ahead of the 2 red and black cars with the 4 rings as we now set our sights on Aaron in the V-carb, catching him napping into the right-hander up into P17. It's a good first stint, all things considered, considering the off we had into the gravel trap. That could have been pretty nasty. You know, the gravel is a little bit more sinister on this year's game, so that very much could have, you know, caught our car a bit more unawares, and we could have been spinning it. So thankful to still be in the race then after an explosive first lap that sees Verstappen still leading the way from Piastri, Russell close behind the top 3 in a bit of a class of their own then, as Leclerc is struggling to keep the 2 Williams at bay of Tsunoda and Albon. Norris following in P7 wasn't the best qualifying for the McLaren that is now so close to being right up there in R&D terms. And JB, P11 behind Lewis Hamilton. It's maybe not the best sign of good things to come, him being already outside of the top 10, having qualified outside the top 10. You know, in terms of the 1 lap pace isn't even there, let alone the race pace maybe. But we're going to try our best to outdrive that and try and at least catch back up to JB. But there's a big gap already from where Hamilton is, just ahead of Button. So that honestly might be our race today. I mean, there's plenty of cars ahead of us, so there is a bit of fun to be had here, but it could all be for just 1 or 2, again, measly championship points as we try to have a go and size up Kimi Antonelli in the Haas, one of the other drivers that may be in talks with us, that may be looking to move away from Haas after a bit of a disappointing season, a lack of performance from the American outfit as we go on the outside. But we just dip a tyre into the grass and the Italian comes back at us. We're still side by side. This is turning into a great little scrap with Antonelli as he tries to hang it round on through the left-hander, but we just have the inside racing line. But that's just how easy things can go wrong if you dip a tyre into the grass. And there's so many areas of this Zandvoort circuit where the outside just doesn't have a curb, especially in reverse. It's even more pronounced as Leclerc is going down the order now, lap 3 to 4, and he's been overtaken by both Williams in this same corner, that turn 1 banking here at Zandvoort reverse. Sonoda P4, Albon P5, and they can now go chasing after George Russell if they have that kind of pace. Meanwhile, Hamilton is now under pressure from Esteban Ocon, not for the first time in Season 2, but the Ferrari clearly lacking a bit of pace around this reverse Zandvoort as Colapinto overtakes Button. And another car lacking pace is us, isn't it? Colapinto getting us. And oh, Lawson! Well, Lawson was going pretty well, but now he's got an engine failure. So Colapinto is going to be the sole Aston Martin Honda left in this race. Lawson's out. It's one free position. We'll take it. Honestly, we'll take any charity at this rate as we now close up to Pierre Gasly, the man who approached us this week for driver talks. Well, we're going to show him what this car can do versus his Alpine at the moment and dive down the inside. It's an easy, simple overtake as we now close up to a train led by Hamilton. Hamilton's really struggling in that Ferrari, and he's backing Colapinto into Button, into Stroll, and then eventually it's going to be us, but we're struggling to fully get onto the back of Stroll until this section where we've been really strong so far in the opening 8 laps, using the battery where maybe the AI aren't using it this part of the circuit. Then the dive, he leaves the door open, and it's a very similar move to the one we made on Gasly. Little bit of iffiness on the rear end as we exit, but we are going to nonetheless book that in for P13 as Sainz now has a go at Leclerc. It is capitulation for the reigning Constructors champions. They only won a race 2 races ago. They're here, they're floundering. Leclerc down to P7, and Hamilton, I feel like at some point, is not going to be in P10. He's going to be out the points. Just showing, though, how topsy-turvy this season is becoming with all the cars so close together. It's really just about, you know, on that day in history, you know, as the phrase is, you know, those conditions, those temperatures, that moment in the circuit, things are different to how they were or how you think they're going to be on paper. But what is true is on paper, Red Bull are the quickest team, and they're looking like it here. Verstappen leading Piastri, and they're both pulling away from Russell now. So it's a bit of 1-2 domination from Red Bull as we get round the outside very easily of Jenson Button, not making it difficult as we are the quicker car at this stage right now, feeling comfortable, getting into a groove, really, of Zandvoort reverse. So at first, I was a bit worried about how we're going to go because the pace wasn't great in qualifying, you know, even with the laps I did. But throughout this first stint in the race, I've just been getting in the rhythm, especially Sector 2, really a lot of fun doing it the other way around, and we've got a lot of pace in that Sector 2 to keep making that move into that second banking as we dive down the inside of Colapinto. And speaking of the second banking, we go for it, absolutely launch it on Hamilton. He's going to try and switch back us, but we've got the Ferrari covered for now, though. The problem is Hamilton sizes up a dive on the outside of the new final corner and is going to have the overspeed, that acceleration to get us. He's got DRS as well, which is a big aid. Button's going to go through with DRS. Colapinto might go through again. So we've been re-overtaken by 2 cars. Might be 3. It is. Colapinto's through. So in an instant, we go from P10 to P13. This, I think, is going to be a battle that runs to the end of the race, I think, because there's no one ahead of Hamilton. There's a massive gap. It may as well be running 2 different races here, but I think this is going to be a real big squabble for just 1 championship point, but it's going to be a fun one nonetheless, because so far the fighting's been very, very good, especially in this section, but the tyres are wearing out, and we're now just launching it at that corner, knowing that we've got the speed there. Like, we have so much confidence in ourselves to make that move down the inside, as we'll go again on Hamilton. Big lock-up, though, as we go wheel-to-wheel, bang tyres. The Ferrari tries to come back, but we've got it covered. But again, he might come back at us, and now we've got tyre wear, enough tyre wear, where the icon's orange. As we've got a couple of people in the pits, we move very aggressively to the left, then to the right, then left again to cover off the inside. We couldn't make up our minds, to be honest, where we should defend Hamilton. Instead, we've kept it on the inside, and that's allowed us to get the elbow out just to keep Hamilton at bay, at least this time, into the heart of this Sector 1, into the kind of stadium section with all the grandstands around, as ahead of us, Verstappen and Piastri, they're so much quicker than everyone. They've made their pit stop, and they're still way out ahead of us. They're still ahead of us, and they're still ahead of most people. Crazy. Red Bull coming good at the right time, because this well might get one of their drivers the lead in the Drivers' Championship, and this is obviously Verstappen's home race as well, so very aptly timing for the Dutchman to come good. He won at Silverstone. He won in the British driver's backyard. He's going to try and win in his own backyard here to secure a really decent win. Still a long way to go, though. Let's see how things shake out, as we didn't put up a fight versus Russell. He's not in our fight as we come in now on lap 18. We actually extended this stint by a lot longer than we maybe were scheduled to. You know, the pit window opened lap 15 to 16. We've come in lap 18. But in doing so, we might have just given ourselves a lot of delta time difference on this hard, and also tyre life at the very end of the race, in a race where tyre wear clearly is a big factor. And we've actually come out in a very decent position. Colapinto's ahead of us, but look at the top left. Hamilton and Button behind Lance Stroll, Button even behind Gasly. So Hamilton and Button, they pit on the lap previous, and they must have come out in some bad traffic or just had a really awful outlap, because they're, yeah, way behind. So we've made the overcut on some very warm medium tyres work, and we've only lost a position to Colapinto. So that's actually pretty damn good in my books. And now we have a go at Franco, who shuts the door initially. But again, you guessed it, that inside move at the second banking. Colapinto comes back at us, though, on the outside. It's a real nice little, swapping and a little, synchronized side-by-side moment there with Franco Colapinto, who will definitely come back at us on this main straight. But we're not going to, worry too much. I feel like we can get the repass done, but it's almost inevitable that he was going to fly by with the DRS there. And shock horror, we want to try the move again, but this time on the outside. Can we feather the car around? Yes, we can. It's an excellent move on the outside that time. And doing it on the outside kind of offsets Colapinto just a little bit. We're looking to try and squeeze him and kind of offset him a little bit versus Stroll and Hamilton behind. Doesn't really work, though, as he minces us. And we actually invite Stroll in, and so that may have not been the best of strategies for me, trying to stay the RS as we get on the curb as well. But I think we've got enough pace to re-attack Colapinto, and instead we now go for the move on the outside of turn 1 banking as we try and float it through. Colapinto, though, remains ahead in P10. This is going to keep on going. It's lap 24. All of a sudden, we're in the last third of this race. It's flown by, and there's just been constant fighting in this second sector as we go around the outside. And we absolutely cook Franco, maybe. He's still got his foot in. We're saving battery for the main straight, but we are going to overtake again in the second banking. But what a little section there in Sector 2. A real great squabble. But at this point, I really want to get away from Colapinto, and we went none into that second banking so that we could do this. We could go overtake mode the entire time and push away from Colapinto finally. So it may have looked like, big spin for Albon. Albon spun it from P6 down to maybe P9. Is that from Ocon? Annoyingly, he's going to get going in time where we're not going to gain on him. So even a spin from Albon, and we couldn't get a Williams car. They really are in a different world right now to us, and I feel like that rivalry, or we're pretty much waving goodbye to it, as it's now Russell, Sainz. Tsunoda's third, by the way. Tsunoda actually jumped Russell in the pits. So Williams are going to go for a back-to-back podium here with Yuki Tsunoda, as it's Max Verstappen's turn to win a race now this part of the season. It's back-to-back wins for Red Bull. The Dutchman wins his home race. It's a dominant 1-2 for Red Bull. It's a great podium for Yuki Tsunoda. For us, it's been a real tooth and nail fight for one championship point. It's giving me flashback vibes to season 1, you know, fighting so hard for just like 1 point. But, you know, that's where we are at this point in the season. And that's also the kind of, in a way, beauty of My Team 2.0. You know, this time, you know, in previous F1 games of My Team, we'd be fighting for the championship. But this new My Team revamp is making us really fight for every sort of next stage of this career.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
Such an important victory at this stage of the season. Any points you can achieve to go towards the table is really going to mean a lot to the team. So well done as they prepare for the end of the season.
So it's a 1-2 for Red Bull. That will see them take the lead of the constructors, I believe. And Verstappen now leads the way from his teammate 3 points, Piastri, 4 points to Russell. Leclerc, after that dismal Ferrari race, maybe a little bit out of the driver's fight now, but still there. I think there's still enough time for Leclerc to come back into it. But yeah, Red Bull now leading the way ahead of Mercedes. A big swing for them. Ferrari, if they pull up their socks, they could kind of be in it. And then for us, I feel like we are waving goodbye to Williams. Let's see, though. Let's not count out the upgrades to come with the breakthrough, but it feels like we've got our back against it at this point. But I think there's still some exciting races to come, and those upgrades will hopefully just mean we're fighting for more than just 1 or 2 points in the races to come. So keep the faith, guys, and I know you guys have all been enjoying the fighting nonetheless, even though it's been a difficult few races. But I think that's also part of the beauty of this new My Team, and I think you guys are appreciating that challenge that we're having of, oh, we're almost going backwards a little bit now. It's not a given. We're just going straight up and up and up to go towards that title fight. There are going to be some rocky periods with this new revamp mode. Guys, if you haven't enjoyed the episode, though, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And if you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.